to me. I'll give you an example. Like an Empress card comes up in a reading. Empress is a card which is ruled by Venus. This is a card which implies prosperity, especially from the opposite sex. If you're a man, then it implies prosperity from a woman. It also implies sexual experiences. It is a card which brings pregnancies. So if you're a woman who's married and who's worried of, or at least whose concern is to get a child or to procreate, then the Empress card is something that implies pregnancy. Now, this card is, this is not the only meaning of this card, just the pregnancy or pleasure or prosperity. This card could have many other meanings depending on the reading. Now, if an Empress comes up, it also could imply finding business opportunity which is connected to glamour, to entertainment. So when I'm doing a reading for you, I may just pick up 20% of the meaning from that card. The rest of the 80% of that meaning, the remaining 80%, either I do not know, or part of it is dormant in my mind, but I've not used it when I'm doing a reading for you. So eventually the 20% which I impart to the client, okay, it's not necessary that is always going to be actually applicable to his or her life. So even though the cards are right, but just because the information was not imparted the way it should have been, the reading becomes inaccurate. So at no point in time can you blame the cards. If the reading is inaccurate or it doesn't work the way it is expected, it's the fault of the reader, not anyone else's fault. See, like any human being, I as a reader also come with my own share of flaws. If the reading is low on accuracy, it is entirely my fault, just the way I've mentioned, and it has nothing to do with the cards. But how do these cards work really? How do they actually work? To read the cards or to find answers to a particular question, spreads come into picture. A spread enables the number of cards you draw in a reading, their position, meaning, and relevance. There are many spreads which one can make use of. Each spread has got its own use, relevance, and importance. However, I personally or professionally have followed the Celtic cross spread, because that's one spread which gives a lot of background information. And since I mostly do blind readings, because that's something that I'm comfortable doing, and that's something I really prefer doing. So with blind readings, a Celtic cross spread is something that gives you a huge amount of information. And each of that information is like a piece of puzzle which could be used by the client in his or her life, in his or her problems or the situations they come across. Now this spread comprises of 10 cards, that's the Celtic cross spread, and we lay down the cards as per the spread. We search for answers for the respective questions by checking every card, the position of the card, whether it is upright, whether it is reversed, and where exactly the card is with respect to the spread position, and what the timeline says. What is going to happen in the coming 6 months, the phase from 6 months to 10 months, and the phase in the coming 12 months. Let me also clarify that when it comes to tarot readings, the present is far more important than your past or future. Your present is the transition between your past and your future. If you are in a stage in life where you want to know where you stand right now, see, with a mind that is receptive and without any expectations. See, you need to understand one thing. If you're approaching a reader, you need to have a very receptive mind. You need to be open to things which are unexpected, even if they are negative. And you need to be someone who goes with a blank mind, because the moment you keep expectations, you're restricting your own ability to absorb the reading. Because see, what happens is with most of us, even if I have to approach a reader for anything concerning my life, and if I go with a rigid mind, a fixed mindset, I want to know this and this, but that's not always possible. I may find an answer that's not even there on my mind at that point in time, but that answer could be useful to me. What is important is to accept the information that comes to us with a very receptive approach. See, with a mind that is receptive and without any expectations, then you have an optimum mindset to approach a tarot card reader. Is there any difference? Is it any different from astrology or crystal ball gazing? The study of occult and metaphysical has got many streams and branches. Each has got its own importance and is as relevant as the other. I have immense respect for anything related to occult and metaphysical. Whether it is astrology or crystal ball gazing, each is as sacred to me as the other. However, tarot card reading is what I professionally do, and that is what I can speak about. Now, what information do you need before you start laying out cards for any of your clients? Now, what I personally need The only thing is I need your willingness, your first name, and obviously the payment on time. The only thing that is required is the client's willingness to go for a reading. I do not require any background information or personal details because I stick to blind readings. When I say a blind readings means I don't need to know anything about your personal life. I only need to know what spheres or areas of life you're curious to know about. Let's say if your profession is a concern and you wish to know about your professional life, then a reading can be done on your work and profession, and also on your finances to check where exactly your financial situation is and how far is it going to help you professionally. Because if your professional life is not in a good shape, if you're going through some or the other mess in your professional life, and if your finances are not good either, then you need to take things very seriously. So something that's very basic. I don't need any details for that. Firstly, people who approach me for a reading are usually those who are going through a chronic problem from which there seems to be no solution within reach. I'm not saying I provide solutions or create miracles of any kind. I'm just a medium, a link between the cards and the client. However, my point is, when one is going through a mess, discussing these problems or the suffering one is going through is a humiliating experience. My job is to read the cards, not to make anyone go through any uncomfortable situation. I start with a clean slate. No background information is required. For clients who do not know how to approach someone like me or what questions to ask, a general reading comes handy. It's like a reading based on your work would be one, for the first question. A reading based on your finances could be the second question. A reading based on your love life, your relationships, whether you're married or no, whether you are in a relationship or no. Just a general reading on your love life, your relationships. And the fourth could be your health or whatever other aspect of your life you think is important, your spiritual life or any other aspect which is not covered in the reading so far. So a general reading is something that covers a major aspects of your life. And let me clarify, there are times when we do not know exactly what we want to know. Okay, there are times when we do not know how far the reading is useful. So in those cases or in those situations, it's better you call up and get it clarified. Don't jump to a reading. First talk to the reader and just get it clarified exactly how far the person will be able to guide you, because the only thing that I can do from my end is to guide you. If the reading is negative, I would request you to be cautious. See, usually what happens, a lot of business people, they are always worried about investing their money in the right opportunity or a venture. And I'm giving a hypothetical example over here. So if I do a reading for you and you're into a business background or you're establishing something of your own, and if I do a reading for you and if the reading is negative, then you have to be more cautious. So you know that if you're investing your money somewhere, you're not supposed to expect much to come back very easily. So you don't invest all your money or all your funds. You don't put all the eggs in one basket. You just invest a small amount of your money, keeping in mind that if this money is lost, I'm fine. I'm still fine with it. It's not going to hurt me. It's not going to destroy my life. But I am still making an attempt to do whatever I can do with that little amount. And it's not the entire amount from my savings. Yeah. And you expect less. Your anxiety level should be low. Your overconfidence should be low. And that's how a reading can be useful to you. Yeah. Every reading is useful. Trust me. If you look at it, if you listen to it with the right approach, whether the cards are positive or negative, the importance is for you to listen to the cards, to listen to the meaning of the cards which a reader is telling you, and make use of it in the most optimum manner. I'm not asking you to depend on a reader or any reading. No, because readings will always be flawed because of the reader. It is the reader who creates the errors in the reading, not the cards. So the readings will always have their own flaws. But you still can make a good amount of, you can gain a lot from a reading if you pay attention to the reading and use it. In the end, it's obviously a choice you have to make. I mean, in life, if I have to make a choice, I have to make it on my own. I'm on my own emotional stamina. I know that if I'm choosing something, and if it brings a sufficient amount of suffering, I have accepted that as well. There is a stage in life where we have to take a stand. And even you have to do it some way or the other. However, let me also clarify, tarot card reading is very useful when you understand the importance of your present phase. I understand that any human soul will be more anxious and curious to know about the future. However, with any tarot card reading, the present is far more paramount than the future. If you do not understand your present or where you stand in your life right now, it implies that you're searching for an escape route and not facing life the way it is. Our present will lay the foundation of our future. We need to understand this. However, future is what you're obsessed with, then you need to approach an astrologer who's well versed in reading horoscopes or birth charts. See, with tarot readings, usually there's a time limit or a span which is involved. Although cards are universal, there are some cards which imply certain traits which stay on in your life, they don't change. But a reading, whether it's a Celtic cross spread reading or 3-card spread reading I do for you, I usually keep a timeline of 1 year. But if you want to know what's going to happen to you 5 years down the line, 10 years, that's when an astrological chart comes into picture. Then you have to approach someone like that. With the tarot, the present is more important. It shows you, it's like a mirror. It's like looking into a mirror and seeing what flaws you have right now and what attempts you need to make to cover up those flaws or to heal those wounds. That's how it is. There are things we need to understand before we get into anything, especially a reading. You will find many tarot card readers on the World Wide Web. Some of them are really good and know their craft pretty well. However, if you approach any card reader with a rigid mind and an unrealistic expectation, then you are wasting your own time and money. You need to understand that you have to be more receptive in your approach, and you have to have a blank mind when you approach a reader. That's all I can say. If you come to me for a reading, that would be great. I would be immensely grateful to you. It's not me. If you go to any reader, the importance is your approach and your intention when you're approaching a reader. Just before this video ends, I want to thank Nancy Fairbrother, because she was the one who actually gave me an advice on one of my videos, and I really took note of her advice and I respect her immensely. Nancy, if you're watching this video, I'm grateful to you for your advice, and I hope whatever you asked me, I've implemented it whichever way I could, whatever my resources could make it possible for me, and I'm grateful to you and a lot of other people who've come in my life. May the tarot guide you, and God bless each one of you. Thank you. My name is Rohit Dua. I'm a tarot card reader. This is one of my articles I had published long ago. I'm going to read out this article in this video of mine. If you have any feedbacks, anything to say, good, bad, anything, you're always welcome. I look forward to every feedback, because that's where I get to learn. That's where someone else allows me to know where exactly I need to improve, or what exactly are the flaws I'm blessed with, and I need to make an attempt to improve those. So any feedback, please do let me know. You are always welcome. I'm pretty receptive on that. Anything, even if it's worse, nasty or negative, it's always welcome. Trust me, because life is something that we have to accept everything that comes to us. Do you live in your present? I always keep wondering how difficult it is to live in your present phase. Some of us live in the past, or some of us live and only think about the future. How many of us actually live in our present with respect to our emotions, mind, and thought processes? I really do not have an answer for this, and maybe will never find an answer either. My mind is so restless and scattered. I find it very difficult to focus and concentrate. I wonder if others experience as I do. Emotional urges, thought processes, and intuitive abilities are extremely volatile and mercurial in temperament, especially the way they affect our life and the way or manner in which we decide, or our ability to make decisions. I am no one to judge or analyze this, because my mind is prone to the same restrictions and constraints under which every human mind survives and functions. Since my thoughts are always scattered and fragmented, I can never have a seamless or a consistent flow of thinking. This only proves my lack of focus or concentration, a virtue I am not blessed with. Unfortunately, as of now, I do not read much. However, a couple of years ago, when the burden of making a living was not so tense or chronic, I did read a few books. I did read a few books, and I'm grateful to British Council for the same. Cancel. My name is Rohit Dua. I'm a tarot card reader, and I'm going to read out one of my articles, that is, Do You Live in Your Present? Any feedback, any kind of feedback, positive, negative, nasty, anything that you feel I need to improve on, anything you feel I need to be covering in my articles or in my work, especially my written work online, do let me know. You can send in an email or you can call me on my numbers. There are times I'm not able to answer my call, so do forgive me on that, but any feedback is always welcome, because it is the feedback that you give, the reader gives, or the viewer, whoever is watching this video, it's your feedback which makes me improve on what I don't have or what I need to improve on. There are times when we never, it's not easy for anyone to find his or her own faults. As humans, we can only find faults in others, but we don't find faults in our own selves. And it is your feedback which can make a huge difference for someone like me. So any feedback, always welcome. Do you live in your present? I always keep wondering how difficult it is to live in your present phase. Some of us live in the past, or some of us live and only think about the future. How many of us actually live in our present with respect to our emotions, mind, and thought processes? I really do not have an answer for this, and maybe will never find an answer either. My mind is so restless and scattered. I find it very